Okay, so first you wrote me something last week. Uh, um, where is it? Oh, you wanted an explanation of something to do with gilgulim. You didn't really ask me explicitly what you want explained, but uh, I guess the basic premise is that there's many Jewish thinkers hold that there's a concept of gilgulim. Many Jewish thinkers hold there's no concept of gilgulim. Since the preponderance of thinkers hold there is a concept of gilgulim, and people come back to fix what they didn't fix in the previous cycles, and they come back in different forms. And it seems that there's some, uh, but this seems that there's some uh, connection between choices which a person makes in the Olam MS and which form they take in this world. Is it there are some of it comes from Jewish sources, comes from non-Jewish sources. There's a lot of non-Jewish sources talk about gilgulim because evidently under hypnosis people can recall previous gilgulim, whether they're Jewish or not Jewish. So therefore, their assumption is that there's some common thread to many of them, and that between lives, a person gets uplifted and then starts hopefully on a higher level in the next gilgul. I guess if they really messed up, they don't necessarily start on a higher level, uh, but most people do not can fix themselves in one gilgul. It takes a long time. How many? I don't. I have no idea. But there is a definite um, uh, uh, preponderance. I said, in other words, a majority of Jewish sources since the time of the Gemara, including the Zohar and other Kabbalistic sources, do hold there's a concept of gilgulim. Also in Judaism, it's not just a non-Jewish concept. We have it in our sources as well. Okay, there is a actually a sefer called the Minchas Yehuda, I think, written by Rabbi Yehuda Pataya, who lived in Baghdad, who was a Talmud of the Ben Ish Chai, who writes at length, evidently, about his conversations with various Gilgulim at various different times. Actually, I shouldn't say dibukim. Gilgulim with dibukim. That's various different times. The shamans which came back to inhabit souls of this earth after after they passed away because they weren't able to get into Gehenna because we're zeichet to get into Gehenna. So this concept of the shamas being around after their death in various different forms is very prevalent in many different places in Jewish literature. Okay, so let's go back to Tzidkas HaTzaddik. Unless you have any specific questions, let's see what you have in the chat here. I didn't say about that. This Rizal could be. Rizal does have a statement about gilgulim. Yes, yeah, he certainly does. Many people have wrote something about gilgulim. Another famous was the Sher Memunim by Aaron Roth, who founded the Rabbanos Hasidim. Yeah, there are a lot of people have Sfar about gilgulim. Okay, paid out. Speaking about death, sometimes people die even though it's not their time to die. In other words, they shouldn't be killed. Uh, so this is uh, it's pretty questionable from a Hasidic perspective how this happens. We know the Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh says this idea by that's by Yosef that Reuven cast him into the boar, even though the boar had snakes and scorpions, because one person can kill another person, even though it's not his time to die. But the snakes and scorpions won't kill you unless it's your time to die. So we see that this Ohr HaChaim is this concept by simply other human beings. Other human beings can kill you, even though it's not your mishpat to die at this point. But this is saying a different idea. It's not necessarily talking about human beings killing other human beings. It's talking about Hashem and the or the Hashem does says, you know what, and then so to speak. Initially, this person, ideally speaking, this person should have lived longer, but for whatever reason, he's going to die earlier. So, there is the tzaddik who dies on account of his tzidkus. Count as being righteous. I did Tzidkuso, Kumo Hevel, Shargo Kain, Bishul Shekibel Hashem Minchaso. Um, so the example he gives is Hevel, who was killed by Cain because Hashem did not accept Cain's korban. This certainly was this killing was certainly the judgment of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So, so says an amazing thing. He says, Hevel was, by his being alive, was an insult to Cain, so to speak. Because Cain had lost out by Hevel, but he was now jealous of Hevel's korban being accepted and his korban not being accepted. So, therefore, there was no room for the two of them in this world at that point. So, HaKadosh Baruch Hu allowed Cain to kill Hevel. I don't think in that case, HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself perhaps would have killed Hevel if Cain had not. But Cain says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu not protect Hevel. Hashem said, okay, Cain is committing an Avera, but on the other hand, the two of them are not going to be able to function in this world together. It's time for Hevel to go. Getting back to where we began today, Hevel comes back in Gilgulim. I think even Moshe Rabbeinu is considered to be a gilgul of Hevel, if I'm not mistaken. But and gilgulim come back in multiple times in multiple people. But in any event, there's the idea that okay, we'll take off Hevel in the later gilgul. In the meantime, he's got to go. As he says here, and this is again astonishing thing. There was a chassid in Maseches Taanis Daf Chav Daled Shebika Shalbita asked about his daughter Shetoshuv Lafara that she should be turned to dust, meaning she should die. And that people shouldn't. She was so beautiful that people had a tremendous desire for her. This tiny chassid, and the Gemara critiques him. The Gemara criticizes him for this, but the Gemara says that he davened and his tefillah was accepted. That his daughter should die, so people should not be full of desire with her, walking around desiring her. Again, these are remarkable ideas, and there, as I said, this person is criticized it for it, but. This girl died, even though she didn't deserve to die at this point, because her father felt she's too much of a stumbling block for everybody else. This is that there's a similar case. Gemara in Sotah, there's a certain young girl who requested that people should not stumble upon, but she understood that she was regarded as very beautiful. And the people were desiring her, and she asked that people not stumble with her, not be to have a desire for her. And I don't recall that she died, but the point is, so let's make a similar concept. And the reason why they were so concerned about this is anybody who causes his friend to be punished, he himself is punished. But even though I had nothing to do with it. But I cause somebody else to be punished, that in itself is a deficit for me. It's a shortcoming in me, and I have to suffer for that, which is shows how Kadosh Baruch Hu is so precise in his judgment that he's willing to. He's not willing. If you're the cause of somebody else's punishment, even though it was not your fault, you're punished for that because you represented a problem for this person. The Zesh because Rebbe Lezer asked. Or I don't know if it's a Belez or somebody else. It says, "Shama Gersa can say a leba dam." The Shama as a Gersa, our kina should not be on other people's heart, and I'm not sure what exactly. But that's important for us to know. But anyway, the more important point is that lo tala kinasa dam alai. Don't let anybody be jealous of me. I shouldn't be jealous of anybody else, and they shouldn't be jealous of me. Why should this also is harmful for me, that somebody's jealous of me. Even for me to be jealous of somebody else is obviously bad, but I shouldn't be jealous. Somebody else should be jealous of me because that's harmful to me as well. And even though they're jealous of me, not because of something bad which I did or some material success I accomplished in this world, they're jealous of me because I am a tzaddik. I rather this problem since I'm not a tzaddik. But if somebody's jealous of somebody because they're a tzaddik, that in himself, even though he's a tzaddik, he's held responsible for that in some way, shape, or form. We don't know how. But as it says, "V'nesh chaber de ayado." If therefore that my friend is punished because he's jealous of me, and even in my being a tzaddik, I'm punished as gam hu nenash. So the person's also punished. So obviously, it's a very shocking thing, a very disturbing thing. So Tzadok tries to give it a rational perspective. It says, it's all just. It's not an injustice. It's really a Musar idea. You think about it. If somebody's jealous of me because I'm a tzaddik, I can't be completely clean. It wouldn't happen if I was absolutely completely clean. I could be 99.9% tzaddik, but inside deep, we have to assume I had some sort of personal interest in which I took pride. I found myself meet pa'er, taking glory. Neg chavero, opposite my friend. B'tzidkas, so in my tzidkas. Okay. This concealed concept is only revealed to God. But in revealed sense, it's not. Doesn't seem to be just. So, on the level which people can perceive, it seems like it's an injustice because this person's such a tzaddik. Why should he be punished? Because somebody else is jealous of him. But on a deeper level, says Tzadok, on the level Hashem knows that if you had been completely clean, so then that he wouldn't have been prideful at all, even in the smallest amount, then that other person had been jealous. If that person's jealous, it means there's some point, some deep down point in which you were not completely clean of your own being proud. Okay, so the there's something which are hidden, so hidden that it's hidden in for a person himself. There's certain things hidden to other people, but there's certain things even put into a person himself. Rak Hashem Yisparach Yodea. Only Hashem knows of this. So what are you supposed to do about it? There's no way. If it's even hidden for the person himself, what's he supposed to do about it? Right? Musar. You should learn Musar. You should be a good person. That helps if you can figure out what's wrong with you. But you can't figure it out. It's hidden in from you. So what are you supposed to do about it? So he says there's no answer for this. Rak tefillah v'rachamim. Only tefillah and the mercy of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because somebody who's truly clean, again, at that super high madrega, that the notches is tzaddik, but tzaddik is completely clean. Hashem Yisbarach Shomro. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu protects him. Below you, lo kol oven. With that, nothing bad will befall him. Then somebody else will not stumble, not fail on his results. L'chein tefillah v'nichudim ben hakona k'shenichas the Torah l'sham hu b'yoser k'neidah Moshe Rabbeinu l'sham. Oh, here it is. Tukut hevel. So therefore, the tefillah v'nichudim ben hakona when he enters Torah is more explicit, I guess. In other words, it's saying that he's saying specifically, I don't want people to be jealous of me, and this is a tikkun specifically when learning Torah. And evidently, it's part of Moshe Rabbeinu's tikkun of Hevel. That Moshe Rabbeinu was such a great onav, as we saw in this past week's parsha, by the end, parsha by Loischa, that nobody could be jealous of Moshe Rabbeinu's Tzidkas. In other words, there are certain people you could be. They were upset. They were not happy with him a lot of the time, but they weren't jealous of him. So therefore, the idea is that the Moshe Rabbeinu was so much an onav that he was misaking the problem with Hevel. Hevel evidently was not a complete onav. That's what kind of was able to kill him. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu went along with it because Hevel would have represented an ongoing embarrassment to Cain. And Moshe Rabbeinu fixed that because he was tremendous onav. And therefore, if anybody else had any issue with him, it wasn't Moshe Rabbeinu's issue. And therefore, he was the tikkun of Hevel. Okay, and Ein Kam Makam B'Harach, he says it doesn't want to spend more time going into right now. I don't think I have anything more about this. Let me just see. But this does relate to the previous piece. The previous piece, you saw that somebody can be zoche something by a lottery, acquires, could get a special mandrega, which otherwise they wouldn't be able to get. And this over here is telling you that Uh, um, this over here is telling us that a person can also get the other way, a lottery that goes the other direction, though that's not really necessarily his time to be taken away, but because of whatever's going on, he's taken away. I have here to look at Rabbeinu B'chai in Parashas Bereishis. Let's see if we can find it. Maybe something about Moshe Rabbeinu there, but I don't know if we're going to find it. Let's see if we can find it quickly. I doubt it. Let's try. Uh, yeah, here it is. Okay. Uh, breaks his parak down plus the gimel. Yes, it's playing kind of default chase back and talk. Hevel nera shnar biyom chamishim kibel scharo. Hevel was killed on the 50th day, evidently after creation. And Nis'ala Moshe kabel Torah chamishim. And Moshe Rabbeinu was the gilgul of Hevel. He was uplifted on the 50th day to receive the Torah. The Kain Shar biyom chamishim miskal biyom. Kain was cursed on the 50th day. Right? The kol chushu yetzer asidli and neshus, but the olam biyom chamishim, and the yetzer which corresponds to Cain is going to be destroyed on the 50th day. I guess on the day that Torah was given. Also, that Torah yetzer was at least temporarily destroyed. And it brings out another thing more about chamishim. Uh, uh, that's what it says since Kevel brought a mincha, Cain brought a mincha on the 50th day. That's on Shavuos. We bring a mincha, we call a mincha on the 50th day. Okay, so there's this connection between Cain and Hevel on the 50th. I did not know it was on the 50th day of creation, and the mincha brought on the 50th day after the meaning Shavuos. Very interesting. There's another result here. It says the chase was a zerach there, and instead of Hevel. If Hevel had not been killed, Chase would not have been born. And Moshe Chachmei Emes take out this parsha remez on Moshe Rabbeinu because the same Bishagam is the same much as Moshe. And Moshe, the word Moshe itself includes Hevel, Shase, and Moshe because Hevel is Hey, Shase is Shin, and Moshe is Mem, Moshe, and Hevel and also Shase where it's Musa Tzamosh Adam. Okay, that he doesn't mention, but it doesn't explain it further. But even there's some connection between Hevel and Moshe. And Moshe came to be Masaki that. And if a person evidently has this tremendous connection to Torah and out of Anova, tremendous connection, I should say, tremendous Anova in his connection to Torah, so that saves him from people being jealous. Otherwise, people might be jealous, but Moshe Rabbeinu's Anova prevented that from happening. Okay. Let's see. Pei seems short. So we want to tell you about Anova. Person should have this in mind in order to be a true honor, obviously. Person thinks that he about himself that he made to accomplish a lot of it. Hashem, you should know that he has accomplished anything. Important for a person Anova should be to understand whatever he accomplishes in this world, it's nothing relative to all there is to accomplish. Moshe Kosler says, similar gasus ruach, a sign that you are a haughty person, arrogant person, is that anios to Torah, is that you were impoverished in Torah. In other words, that I'm not sure exactly how that fits in here, but because he thinks he's a rich in Torah, but I guess a person who is so haughty, he gets punished. But the connection seems a little bit strange. Um, okay, but anyway, let's see how it develops it. Ki Easter begina kish kish kara. If you have an empty pan, and you have a cup of beans, not beans, a couple of coins rattling around in it, they make a lot of noise. But it's empty pan, that's why they make a lot of noise. Mashenkin kismole is opposed to a full wallet that makes no noise. Much because of the canis bizarre. Similar the klum shibuche. A sign that you don't know anything is that people praise you. Or you praise yourself, I guess. They praise yourself. Doesn't necessarily mean you praise yourself openly in front of other people. That's pretty bad. But even internally, in your own heart, if you praise yourself too much, then it's a sign that you haven't accomplished anything. It means you're just a few coins in an empty pan. Because the true gaiva is not what's external. Towards other people, what you show towards other people could be good or bad, but that's not what determines true gaiva. True gaiva is what goes on inside you. Something is arrogant internally. Shesavakate. So that when you think that you're a big shot, that's your problem. The kind keep garua. And a good example of this is Cain. He brought something very bad, whatever it was, the carbon he brought. And he thought he was doing a great thing. So that's why he was upset when HaKadosh Baruch didn't accept it. This mistake, says Tzadok, a very big musar for it also as well, comes from the fact that you forget the concept of Yetzer and his koch. You think you think everything I do is good. Everything I think is good. You understand? Yetzer is very, very wily, very, very furtive, very, very secretive, and gets in deep down in you. You think, oh, my thoughts so good. I have no inclination to bad at all. So that's why Cain was told by Kodesh Baruch Hu, don't deceive yourself. Hashem told him, no, it says Yetzirah, which it was deep down inside you, or not so deep inside you. Pesach goes on the sin is crouching in the opening. You let the sin in, you let the Yetzirah in, comes in and takes hold of you. So the person has to be aware of this. The person has to know, Vabal Gaiva, that's the Yetzirah getting into me. So your Gaiva is the worst Yetzirah, right? But where's Kina Taiva Vakavad Matzim Olam? Kavod is the worst. Kina Taiva and Kavod. The worst. All three, Kavod is the worst. So the Yetzer of Kavod is the Yetzer of Gaiva. That's what gets a person. When a person knows this, and he puts turns his eyes inwards to look at the chambers of his heart, then he'll know that he hasn't accomplished anything without any inclination, any vested interest for himself. And that's is really, the Ishbitzer's Rebbe was the Kotzker. The Tzadok's Rebbe was the Ishbitzer, and the Ishbitzer's Rebbe was the Kotzker. And this is very big Kotzker Musar, which is that a person has to know that everything I do is susceptible to doing it for my own inclination, my own interest. And the person has to try and eliminate that as much as possible. A person should never be confident that they eliminate it. And that's why a person has to make sure not to think about themselves that, oh, look how great I am. Because that's part and parcel of that inclination to look at myself and think, I'm not doing things with the Yetzirah, but that's the point. When you start losing the understanding that relative to what all is accomplished, I haven't accomplished anything, then that's Rambam's way. The Rambam puts it. I think it gets it from Aristotle. I think the language used is Tachlis hayediyah shalom neda. The ultimate knowledge is that we don't know. So only a person reaches that point of understanding that all that I know is still nothing relative to all that there is to know. So then a person can remain an onav and be zoicha not to be susceptible to his own gaiva, and also not to be susceptible to other people's jealousy, which is the previous point. Atatim Shabo. And because Baruch Hu told Kai, you can rule over him, but not you and me, Kai himself can't do that because human beings have too much, difficulty internally. Zemitzad Garish Kam Zemitzad Hashem Yisborach. Hashem is saying, "I'll help you out though." Aboli time Messiah. So somebody comes to me, Matar, Hashem helps him. So a person can say, "It's true, I can't rule, I can't control this myself, but you can help me out, Kodesh Baruch Hu." You can down Siyate Dishmaya. So just like everything else, we have to down for a Kodesh Baruch Hu to help us out. Vavein, I understand this very well. Okay, so two pieces we did today are very, very relevant because a person has to work and it's Hanova. Now, to work on one it's Hanova, one has to have a lot of self-esteem because one can't just have Hanova without having self-esteem. Can't be. One of the greatest insults in history was the insult that Winston Churchill used on his successor Clement Attlee, and I love quoting this insult. Winston Churchill said about Clement Attlee, Mr. Attlee is a modest man and he has much to be modest about. So if you have much to be modest about, it's not a big deal to be modest. You have to have much that you can be hold yourself in self-esteem and say, yes, there's a lot I've accomplished, a lot I've done. And then relative to what HaKadosh Baruch Hu represents to us, and what HaKadosh Baruch Hu would like us to do, realize that it's not much. But you have to have self-esteem on the one hand and another on the other hand. You can't have one without the other. If you have no self-esteem, you're not modest. Of course, you have nothing to be modest about. If you have too much self-esteem, you're a Baal Gaiva. So it's a very big, very careful balance between having significant self-esteem and having significant anova. That's the famous joke they tell about in the Barak, or the Bachrim, two Bachrim in the Barak Yeshiva, three Bachrim. Two Bachrim talking to each other, and in the Barak they used to talk about, how everybody's a zero and worthless. So first Bachrim, the Barak says, I'm a zero, I'm an Ephes, I'm a garnished. And the other Bachrim says, you think you're a zero, I'm less than Ephes, less than garnished, less than zero. And the third Bachar comes in, a new Bachar, and he sees, okay, that's what they do in the Vardak. And he said, okay, he sits down and says, I'm a nothing, I'm as Ephes, Shav, the Klum, etc. So the one older Bachar turns to the other older Bachar, the ones who were already there for a while, and said, look at him, he just got here and he thinks he's already a zero. So it takes a while to become a zero. You have to have first a self-esteem in order to become a zero. And never lose that self-esteem. After self-esteem, you have to be an onav. It's a very, very fine line. It's a very important point to remember. So, great tell that the Rabbi Avraham Eli Kaplan says, once a person knows they're as tall as the Himalayan mountains, then it can be about have a nova. But only after you know you're that tall, you can start being a true onav. Okay, have a great week. Take care. We'll cover a lot of ground today.